Continuing from the previous episode 655. What is the purpose of cultivation? Xiao Yan's question kept echoing in Ling Zan's mind. Xiao Yan, you. Seeing this, Mu Feng hurriedly exited. Xiao Yan shook his head at Mu Feng and then looked at Ling Zan. Mu Feng nodded knowingly and then stopped talking. Seeing this, Mu Yingying and LVDI on the side couldn't help but admire Xiao Yan. The admiration is not only because Xiao Yan's strength has such a level of the late 6-star Do D, but also because Xiao Yan treats friends and teammates like family members, which makes people feel warm. My father said that the only way to cultivate is to become stronger and protect the people you want to protect. Ling Zan's beautiful eyes flickered slightly, and she was quite puzzled why Xiao Yan asked this way. The journey of cultivation is the pinnacle of martial arts and moves the universe. If Guangtu had a small prophet in front of him, it wouldn't work. Xiao Yan naturally knew that Ling Xuan was the daughter of the Hall Master of the Earth Palace, so he didn't say much, just said a few words. I will be stronger than you one day. After all, Ling Zan is far from ordinary, so in just a few breaths, she seemed to realize that there was something in Xiao Yan's words, and there was a flash of determination in her eyes. Let's go, Xiao Yan said immediately after hearing this. Yes. After hearing the words, several people nodded immediately. There may be less than 5 of the 10 teams left now. After 2 are eliminated, the last 3 teams will be born. When that time comes, they will enter the 5 Elements mountain range where the 5 Elements beasts live, and that will be the real team competition. Xinya 81 Zhang Wei and Wang Wu, Kai 8.1 ZS, Ko M, and there is no doubt that the strength of the last 3 teams will become stronger and stronger. Mu Yingying said slightly, now let's go to the surrounding of the 5 Elements mountains first. We still have a wooden sign left to qualify for the finals. The teams outside the 5 Elements mountains are probably already waiting outside the 5 Elements mountains. Green Flute said. As soon as the voice fell, the 5 people slowly moved towards the 5 Elements mountain range, and far away from the 5 people, a void shook slightly, and then a spooky black air permeated from the void. Luo Lingshan. A gloomy voice slowly came out of the void, and then a scroll suddenly appeared from the void, followed by a figure surrounded by dark ghosts. It seems that the Dark Crow Ghost Emperor didn't lie to me. This is indeed a battlefield where our Ghost World and Zan Santian fought, but it's not the biggest main battlefield. The black shadow just appeared, and the void instantly closed. Reconcile, as if it never appeared. The dark black figure just came to Luoling Mountain, and felt that although there is a ghost world in this Luoling Mountain, the ghost energy is extremely thin, even so thin that it can be ignored. After all, there are many strong people in Xuanxin San, the land of the fall, so under the suppression of so many strong men, ghost chi has long ceased to exist. I heard the Dark Crow Ghost Emperor said that this time I came here to capture Xiao Yan in the Hall of People. Xiao Yan has a twin Ghost Emperor heart. If the Ghost Emperor heart is obtained by me, I am afraid that my strength will be reduced. The dark figure said slowly. This dark figure was dressed in black robes, surrounded by ghosts, and looked extremely eerie. This person's name is Yinmu, and he is a capable general under the Dark Crow Ghost Emperor, a powerhouse whose strength has reached the middle stage of the 7-star Do Emperor. Before Yinmu was overjoyed, a dazzling aftermath of the battle erupted slowly in the mountains not far away, and the wave range was so large that many people would probably be able to spot it. Such flame fluctuations, it seems that the kid is right. Let me meet you just now. It seems that you have bad luck. Yinmu's face hidden in the black robe let out a gloomy laughter, and then the figure disappeared instantly, facing the place where the explosion occurred. Go! Luoling Mountain is the general term for this space. On the endless flat land of Luoling Mountain, 3 huge mountain ranges rise from the ground. A mountain called the 5 Elements Mountain Range is where the 5 Elements beasts live. The entire mountain range is dominated by the 5 Elements beasts. Another place is the Tianmu Mountains, where the Tianmu giant beast lives, an extremely mysterious alien beast that few people have ever seen. As for the last mountain range, it is called the Boundless Mountain. The overlord in the Boundless Mountain is extremely low-key, and it has never been reported what kind of power or appearance he has. But all the dead beasts in the Luoling Mountain know that the king in the Boundless Mountain is the most difficult to provoke. At this time, on the top of Boundless Mountain, in a dark cave. This cave stands on the top of the entire Wuliang Mountain. There are basically no dead beasts to enter here, because they all know that this is a real restricted area. The real king of Wuliang Mountain lives here. Even the king of the entire Luoling Mountain is not an exaggeration. Looking at the cave from a distance, the outermost periphery is circular, and a stream of white air floats out from the edge of the cave. Obviously, I don't know what it is. Entering along the cave, one after another of bright crystals paved the way for the entire cave, like a crystal palace. However, if you take a closer look, you will find that these crystals are all white and transparent, but it's precisely because of these crystals that the cave can continue to maintain a low temperature. The white gas just now was actually caused by the low temperature. Then, after walking into this mysterious cave, an extremely large space suddenly appeared inside, and the space was about several hundred square meters. In the space, two huge cauldrons slowly appeared. There seemed to be something in the cauldron. Among the two giant cauldrons, what attracted the most attention was a figure like a little human boy who was tinkering with something in the giant cauldron. Susu. Gathering so many demon cores and dead beasts' blood in Luoling Mountain will probably free me from the shackles of this Luoling Mountain. After all, no matter how powerful I am still just a dead beast. The little boy's voice a trembling road. As for the two giant cauldrons around, link to you www.novelmtl.com. If you look closely, there are countless demon cores and blood essence from dead beasts. Although I don't know how this boy got so many demon cores and blood essence of dead beasts, there is no doubt that this little boy is the real king in this boundless mountain. 5 element beasts, giant beasts with celestial eyes. I'm afraid you two won't know what I'm planning until you die. It took me a lot of effort to get this secret. After the little boy finished speaking, he slowly stirred the two giant cauldrons in front of him. What terrifying power is brewing? I don't know why. I always feel that the kings of the 3 major mountain ranges in Luoling Mountain seem to be too situational. This is not like their style. Could it be that something has changed? In a room, Qing Lao and Mu Shuji were 2 figures. Appeared, and then spoke. I don't know, but I explored the boundless mountain before, and the king there seems to be quite calm. As for the other 2 mountain ranges, there is not much movement. Qing Lao said with some doubts in his eyes. I hope it won't happen this time. My eyebrows are always beating. I'm afraid it's not a good thing. Mu Shuji shook his head and said, Old man, after the sect competition this time, I will give you a leave to complete your unsolved knot. After the old man finished speaking, he looked at Mu Shuji. It's so good. Mu Shuji heard the words, and he felt helpless and nostalgic for the appearance of various emotions, and then he looked into the distance and didn't speak. Ask for tickets. Happy National Day, everyone. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 656. Each of the 3 huge mountain ranges in Luoling Mountain has extremely powerful restrictions, so it is necessary to master 3 wooden cards at the same time to enter in an instant. Not necessarily able to get in. But what's interesting is that even with 3 wooden cards, entering the 5 elements mountains is not a constant thing. Because this is a random event, it may not be possible to teleport you to the other 2 mountains. The night came slowly. After Xiao Yan and the others left, they came to a hidden corner outside these 3 mountain ranges to settle down. After all, the entrance to the 3 mountain ranges had to use 3 wooden signs to enter. The current Xiao Yan, they only have 2 in their hands. Is there any news? Xiao Yan's group of 5 slowly settled down, and then Xiao Yan and Mu Yingying went out to check at the same time, while the other 3 remained silent. According to the news I just got, I'm afraid there are still 5 teams left in the Luoling Mountain, plus us. Mu Yingying said, 5? Then there are 4 other teams besides us? Mu Feng asked in confusion. Yes, that's right. Out of the 4 teams, the Dawning team should be able to rank in the top 3. As for the team that ranks first, they are the most outstanding people in their temple. Xiao Yan said lightly. Xiao Yan and Mu Yingying went to inquire about the news. Naturally they knew it from the mouths of some teams that no longer had wooden cards. As far as I know, the 4 most outstanding people in the temple formed a team, the team. Among the ground teams, Wang Chen in the middle stage of the 6-star Do Emperor is the weakest. This team is undoubtedly the strongest. There are only 2 powerhouses in the late stage 6-star Do Emperor, and even the 6-star Do Emperor is successful. There is another strong person, whose strength is unfathomable. Xiao Yan said solemnly, so terrifying. Mu Feng heard the words, and looked at the green flute beside him. The two of them have not yet reached the strength of the 6-star Do-D. If they were against this team, they would probably only be a burden to Xiao Yan. The strength is only a rough estimate, it may be more terrifying than this. Xiao Yan paused, then looked at Mu Feng and said, "But now we are still a piece of wood away. How can this be good?" Green Flute also knew that the absolute difference in strength was not something that could be made up. After all, the 5-star Fighting Emperor and the 6-star Fighting Emperor are not at the same level, not to mention that the strength of those people has reached the late stage of the 6-star Fighting Emperor. There is also a women's team among the top 3 teams. Mu Yingying hesitated for a while and then spoke. "Women's team?" Mu Feng opened his mouth in surprise when he heard the words. The number of women, let alone the Hall of Earth and the Hall of People, even the entire Burning Incense Pavilion, the number of women is quite small, not to mention that this team of women can actually rank in the top 3. Although it is a women's team, don't underestimate them. Although the strength of this women's team is not as good as that of the first-ranked local team, it is undoubtedly much stronger than the Dawning team. With a wry smile, he opened his mouth. Because their entire team is in the middle stage of the 6-star Do Emperor, and the captain is in the late stage of the 6-star Do Emperor. Xiao Yan continued, 4-person 6-star Do-D mid-stage? A late-stage 6-star Do Emperor? Mu Feng couldn't help being surprised when he heard the words. Mu Feng knew that Xiao Yan would naturally deal with this late-stage 6-star Do Emperor. But at this time, Mu Yingying and Lingxuan were also strong enough to deal with a mid-stage 6-star Do Emperor, but even so, there were still 2 left. The 2 powerhouses in the middle stage of the 6-star Do-D are powerful enough to change the entire battle situation. "Then there's another team?" asked the Green Flute. "There is another group of registered disciples of our human temple, this can." Xiao Yan said with a slow smile. "What?" Ling Zan, who had been silent for a while, suddenly spoke up. "As we all know, the 10 teams that can enter Luoling Mountain are probably very strong. The remaining teams that can be eliminated in the first round may have some strength. How could this named disciple be so terrifying? Don't say you don't believe it, it's true." Xiao Yan naturally saw Ling Zan's doubts and said, "Since this is the case, then our goal can only be placed on the women's team and the Dawning team." Brother Mufeng glanced at the Green Flute, and then spoke. "I also feel that way. And the Dawning team just fought with them, and I have a good understanding of their power. If I encounter them, I am afraid that the odds of winning are quite high, but I don't think they will appear easily. As for the women's team, we have too little information. I'm afraid we can only wait here." Xiao Yan analyzed carefully. "That's actually the case. Everyone rest early, pay attention to concealing your breath, and once I find their traces, I will set off immediately." Xiao Yan said, "Yes." After speaking, the group went back to the earthen house. This earthen house is impressively Xiao Yan's masterpiece. After swallowing the fire heart Tianyan, Xiao Yan found that he seemed to have a lot of mastery of the earth attribute. Obviously, this mysterious mastery naturally came from Shengen, but the secret in it, even Xiao did not understand it. "Do not know, Captain, we only have 2 wooden plaques on hand now. If we want to enter the 3 major mountain ranges, we need 1 more." In a bush, 5 women slowly gathered together. One of the dark-skinned women by her side stepped forward slightly and said to a plump woman with a domineering aura, "Is there 1 more piece? Recently, we have had a lot of battles with other teams, both big and small. It's just strange that their brothers and sisters' wooden cards were all taken away by the *** team." The female captain scolded hotly. "This hot girl is named Ling Yun, and she is one of the best female heroes in the Hall of Earth. Not only is his own strength outstanding, but he has reached the late stage of the 6-star Do-D at a young age, and the power of the 6th-grade students in his body is adding style. Xinya 81 Zhang Weian Wang U. Kai 8.1 ZS, Coem. How many teams are there now?" Ling Yun said to the dark woman. "Captain, now there is Xiao Yan's link to team www.novelmtl.com plus a team of registered disciples of the Human Temple, 4 teams of Earth and Dawn, and the other teams have already withdrawn from Luoling Mountain." The dark woman slowly opened your mouth. "In this case, first go to the named disciple in the Hall of Looking for People, and then go to the Dawning team. If you really can't go to find Xiao Yan's team." Ling Yun's eyes flashed a hint of decisiveness, and then sorted out the order. "Captain, why not Xiao Yan's team? There are 2 5-star Fighting Emperors in their team. the dark woman said inexplicably. Haha. That kid Xiao Yan is the guy who is favored by Elder Zhu. I don't believe that Elder Zhu will treasure his strength and not teach Xiao Yan anything. In my opinion, I'm afraid this Xiao Yan's threat is second only to the ground team. Ling Yun said, Captain, who is that mysterious person in that team? The dark-skinned woman seemed to be shocked by Ling Yun's high evaluation of Xiao Yan, and then said, That guy is the woman I admire the most in the entire Fenxiang Pavilion, no one. As soon as Ling Yun remembered the last mysterious figure who joined the team, a frenzied fighting intent emerged in his eyes. Send my order to radiate the aura of our position. Now that the time has come, there is no need to hide it. After Ling Yun finished speaking, a plan slowly filled his heart. Yes! The dark-skinned woman seemed to understand Ling Yun's meaning, and the four of them dispersed, apparently to spread information. Ask for tickets. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 657. One day passed quickly, and the 5 teams, except that the local team had used 3 wooden plaques to enter the 3 mountain ranges without authorization, the rest were Xiao Yan and his team, and the first team of the named disciples of the Hall of Humanity was added with the Dawning team. And 4 women's teams. What the asterisk is going on with this women's team? In the team composed of named disciples, Li Ji said slowly. Obviously, the news spread by the women's team has already let Li Ji and his party know. To be honest, this team of named disciples, although the strength of 3 people is extremely weak, but a certain formation that they cooperate with each other makes them barely squeeze into the top 5. Li Ji, what do you think is the situation of this women's team? I don't believe that they will directly release ruthless words. Although their strength is not weak, they are not enough to rank first. Li Zi said slowly, to be honest, this named disciple was able to be among the last 5 teams, which was beyond their expectations. After all, this team only has one Li Zi who has stepped into the 6-star Do D. The rest of Li Ji and Li Zi are both at the 5-star Do D perfect level. In addition, the 2 have just stepped into the early stage of the 6-star Do D. The named disciple who possesses the power of rank 5 students, just barely squeezed into the top 5. And along the way, if they hadn't encountered a strong team, I'm afraid they would have been eliminated. Let's go over and take a look. Now, it should be just our 4 teams. The other 3 teams already have 2 wooden cards in their hands, only we still have 1. Zi Lian opened her mouth slightly, with a hint of bitterness at the corner of her mouth. Even if it is in the top 5, the strength of this team cannot be made up by just a few people. Let's go. I believe that I can meet Xiao Yan and the others. If the situation is uncontrollable at that time, I can't say that I can do a good favor. Zi Lian said slightly. Although Zi Lian has not yet stepped into the 6-star Do D, everyone is convinced of his leadership. Team leader, where are Xiao Yan and the others? In the Dawning team, Qianzhang just opened his eyes and looked around in a hurry. In Qianzhang's memory, he was in the middle of a war with Xiao Yan. How could he come here? That Xiao Yan is very strong. I'm afraid he won't be weaker than the second senior brother Earth Hall. Although he didn't want to admit it, but as arrogant as Guanglu still couldn't help speaking. Because the power of life fusion technique that he and Anli jointly issued before did not affect him much, which made Guanglu quite puzzled. How could this powerful fusion of life force in the past fail on Xiao Yan? It's just that Guanglu didn't think of it, but Xiao Yan was also opportunistic. If there was no vindictive energy that had been stored in the ancient ruler of eternal fire, Xiao Yan would definitely be forced to use more methods to suppress the bottom of the box. Guang, I don't blame you for that. Maybe because there is something mysterious about Xiao Yan. As Guanglu's fiancé, Anli naturally didn't want to see the person he loves so depressed, and immediately said, hopefully, but this kid is a rare opponent. At the next moment of Guanglu, Zaidu regained his former arrogant aura. Because Guanglu also knew that in this team competition, even if his team could not win the first place, it would not be difficult to get a second place. That Xiao Yan is very mysterious, I'm afraid it's hidden very deep. Seeing that Guanglu's mood had stabilized, Anli spoke immediately, because with Anli's soul power, he was naturally able to know some subtle fluctuations in Xiao Yan's body. Captain, don't we? The next moment, Qianzhang Qianchu and the 2 spoke at the same time, with an extremely shocked tone in their voices. That's right. In the end, Anli and I used the power of life fusion technique, but when we dealt with Xiao Yan, we only restrained him to breathe for a few moments, and he was freed from the restraint. At that time, I felt something was wrong, and I was afraid that other teams would observe secretly, so I brought you back first. Guanglu said indifferently. I see. The three of them nodded secretly when they heard the words, and then slowly looked at Guanglu, and a strange emotion emerged. Okay, you guys go on to restore the fighting spirit in your body. I'm afraid there are still a lot of things to do when you enter the three major mountain ranges. Guanglu finished speaking, and a very beautiful medicine pill with extremely amazing power was slowly born in his hand. Come out, N. Seeing this, the three of them did not hesitate in the slightest. Although this medicinal pill seems to be of high rank, it is still better to be careful in Luoling Mountain, which cannot restore the strength of its own body. What the asterisk is this women's team doing? Did they think that with their strength, they can eat our three teams? In the camp where Xiao Yan and the others were, Mu Feng naturally heard the news spread by the women's team. If you want a wooden plaque, come to the foot of the three mountain ranges to get it. In just a few short words, there is a domineering presence between the lines. I don't think so. The captain of this women's team is named Ling Yun. She is a strong person who has reached the late stage of the 6-star Do Emperor, but her team members are only 4 middle-stage 6-star Do Emperor. If they rely on this strength, they want to swallow our three teams. This is not like that. Xiao Yan and his group gathered around a fire and then discussed slowly. What's going on? Mu Feng was immediately puzzled when he heard the words. Sister Lingyun. Lingzan's eyes flickered slightly, obviously thinking of something. In the Hall of Earth, this senior sister Lingyun's status can be said to be quite high. Not only because of her sweet appearance, but also because of her strength, and behind her strength, she is still in tune with many brothers and sisters. However, Lingxuan clearly remembered that senior sister Lingyun had one of the best brains in the entire hall. After all, some decisions in the Earth Palace will acquiesce to Ling Yun's link to participation www.novelmtl.com, and it seems that every time, Ling Yun's opinion will be adopted by the Earth Palace, but Ling Zan remembers that her father often mentions Ling Yun. I think this should be a trap. Ling Zan saw the heated discussion among several people, and immediately spoke up. Trap? Xiao Yan and the others were surprised when they heard the words. Xinya 81 Zhang Wian Wang U, Kai 8, approximately 1 ZS, Koem. This Ling Yun has a smart mind since he was a child, and since joining our temple, he has made some elders even more ashamed. So I believe that it is impossible for such a good person to make such a mistake. So, this is very likely a trap. Lingxuan shared her experience. It seems that this guy has some brains too. Xiao Yan nodded secretly after hearing this. Although this Lingxuan caused many troubles along the way, it can still be used at critical times. A trap. I think so too. After all, it's now in the middle of the team competition, and there are still 2 of the 3 teams that have yet to be born. Maybe they're starting to get anxious, so they came up with such a low-level solution. Mu Yingying said, although this method is low-level, we have to go. After all, I think people from other teams should also have this idea. Although he had guessed what the women's team was doing, Xiao Yan still spoke. Since there's no other way, let's go. After Mu Feng finished speaking, a group of 5 rushed over. Ask for tickets. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 658. Captain, do you think they will come? Will we do this? A swarthy woman in the women's team said at the entrance of the 3 major mountain ranges. I think they have to come even if they know it's a conspiracy. After all, time is waiting for no one. The ground team has already entered the 5 Elements mountain range. If they wait, I am afraid that the 5 elements of the beast's mission will be taken first by them. Ling Yun looked into the distance, and seemed to see some slight fluctuations from a distance. But the time of the other 3 teams is not easy to provoke. Even if the 5 of us join forces, they cannot be their opponents. The dark woman worried. Don't worry, with Guanglu's arrogant temperament, he will definitely not cooperate with Xiao Yan and the others, but the first group of named disciples and Xiao Yan and the others may join forces. I'm afraid we will have to rely on the Dawning team. Ling Yun, after speaking, a sinister smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, as if some schemes had already been brewing in his heart. Xinya 81 Zhang Wian Wang U, Kai 8.1 ZS, Koem, for the next time, just wait slowly. After Ling Yun finished speaking, he closed his eyes and rested. Seeing this, The other members of the women's team calmed down slightly. "Captain, is this the end of Luoling Mountain?" Li Ji opened her mouth slightly and said to their weakest captain. When Zilian heard the words, her brows twitched. It is said that there are 3 major mountain ranges in the center of Luoling Mountain, and there are 3 kings living in the mountains. It seems that this rumor is indeed true. But if you want to enter these 3 mountains, I'm afraid there are only 3 wooden plaques. After Zilian finished speaking, she glanced at her team and shook her head. Because with Zilian's own intuition, he vaguely discovered that the fork entrances of these 3 major mountain ranges exuded extremely terrifying fluctuations. "Let's go, we'll have to deal with it sooner or later. But it's all thanks to you to be able to get here." Li Zi patted Zilian's shoulder and smiled. The 5 members of this team of named disciples already know that they deserve to be in the top 5, and they will give people the face of the head of the palace, but if they want to compete among these 5 teams, I am afraid it is not realistic. "Who is it?" The 5 Zillion had just arrived at the intersection of the 3 major mountain ranges, when they suddenly noticed a slight noise coming from the towering trees and bushes beside them. "Haha, I didn't expect your team to be so weak and still alive today." A wild voice slowly emanated from a tree branch. Zilian was the first to look up, and saw an extremely hot woman standing on the branch of the tree, her whole body flashing with majestic strength, which shocked people. "Women's team captain Ling Yun?" Li Ji exclaimed, and his heart became heavy immediately. Although I knew for a long time that this women's team was very strong, but today, when I faced it, I really discovered the unfathomable strength of Ling Yun. "I expected you to come, but I didn't expect you to be the first team to arrive. It seems that you want to be eliminated early." The dark woman beside Ling Yun appeared slowly, and then a fierce breath slowly appeared. "Damn, the strength of this women's team is really terrifying." Seeing this, Zilian could not help but grit his teeth slightly. Obviously, these 2 people alone made their entire team feel a strong pressure. "You don't need to do anything, I'm enough alone," Ling Yun immediately said when he saw that his partner was showing signs of taking action. "Captain, what should I do now?" Li Ji, who was beside Zilian, said, with a strong will to fight. Beside these people, under a tall and hidden tree, the Dawn team slowly appeared. "Captain, this women's team is really tyrannical, especially this Ling Yun," Qianzhang said slightly fiery. Although this Ling Yun is a woman, her own strength has reached the late stage of the 6-star Do Emperor. She is so powerful that Qianzhang does not dare to underestimate it. After all, Qianzhang is extremely crazy about fighting. This Ling Yun, even me, is quite difficult to deal with. Anli on the side said slightly, "Don't look at Anli's strength in the late stage of the 6-star Do D, but it is very obvious who is stronger and who is weaker when fighting against Ling Yun. It seems that the team formed by the named disciples in this man's hall can't change the situation of failure. After all, although the team formed by the disciples of the Hall of Human Beings has 2 6-star Do D in the early stage, it cannot change the situation of failure." Guanglu Wei said, obviously with Guanglu's 6-star Do D's consummate strength, he could see Ling Yun at a glance. Intention: attempting to destroy the team of named disciples in this man's hall with one's own power, causing the team in this man's hall to suffer a blow. Looks like there's a good show to watch. Tan Xiaoyang didn't care. After all, Tan Xiaoyang and Ling Yun didn't have a deep relationship, so he was watching the fun. So at this time, Ling Yun in the women's team and the entire team of named disciples were fighting with each other. As for Xiaoyan's team, they were still on their way. Susu. The fluctuation of this flame seems a bit strange. No wonder it was able to kill the twin ghost emperors. Where Xiaoyan fought with Guanglu before, the flames still remained on the ground, and then a figure wrapped in ghostly energy slowly appeared. This person is Yinmu, and he is the Ghost World powerhouse sent by the Dark Crow Ghost Emperor to kill Xiaoyan. The strength has also reached the level of the middle stage of the 7-star Do Emperor. Looking at the fluctuations, I shouldn't have gone far. Yinmu said to himself. His voice was extremely eerie, but the gloomy smiles under the ghostly aura were particularly eerie. Xiaoyan, walk slowly. Behind Xiaoyan, Mu Yingying spoke slightly. As soon as Mu Yingying opened her mouth, the 3 people around her stopped and looked at them at the same link to time www.novelmtl.com/what. Xiaoyan was stopped by the sudden call, and then looked at Mu Yingying and said, "I always feel that there are some terrifying things in these 3 mountain ranges, but I can't tell the specific feeling. Mu Yingying looked at the 3 towering mountain ranges in the sky and said, "And I also found out that the dead beasts here don't seem to have magic cores, which is not normal." Mu Yingying opened her mouth. Well, after Mu Yingying said this, Xiao Yan was surprised at Mu Yingying for a long time. After all, there is no magic core in this dead beast, but Xiao Yan finally found out. Why is this Mu Yingying? It's so easy to know. How do you know? Xiao Yan also asked in surprise. I found it when I went out to investigate occasionally. Mu Yingying spoke directly without any hesitation. This is indeed a troublesome matter, but I think it seems to be related to some secrets in these 3 major mountain ranges. Xiao Yan also said, "Secret?" After Xiao Yan finished speaking, Mu Feng and the 3 immediately showed strong interest at the same time. I don't know the specifics, but this space in Luoling Mountain is left over from the battle between Ghost Realm and Xuanxin Santian. I think it has a lot of secrets. Xiao Yan explained. Forget it. Let's ignore these things for now. Let's get the 3rd wooden sign and enter the 3 major mountain ranges. The last 4 remaining teams are about to converge. Ask for tickets. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 659. Have you figured out how to do it? Ling Yun stood on the branches of the tree. His red lips moved slightly, and stared at Li Ji and the other 5 with a smile on the corner of his mouth. The breath of Li Ji's 5 people rioted at the same time, and then an incomparably powerful breath burst out instantly. Although the strength of the 2 of you is good, if you want to pass my level with this strength, it would be a bit too whimsical. After Ling Yun finished speaking, he jumped in an instant, and then came to the front of Li Ji and the others. The dark woman on the branch of the tree where Ling Yun stood before was just about to make a move, but was pulled by one of the women in the women's team. The captain must have her reasons for doing this, and don't you notice that the air around here is a little abnormal? The woman said. You mean? The dark woman was so smart, she instantly understood what the woman said, and then looked around. Shush. The woman made a gesture, and then there was no follow-up. I have long heard that senior sister Lingyun in the Hall of Earth is very talented. When I see it today, it really lives up to its reputation. Zilian said naturally. However, I have to say that just standing in front of Ling Yun in the late stage of the 6-star Do Emperor, an invisible pressure suddenly radiated from it. The 6-star Do Emperor and the 5-star Do Emperor are really different. Let's stop talking politely. Do you hand over the wooden sign and go out, or? I defeated you and took it from your hands? Ling Yun had a slight smile on the corner of his mouth. Arrogant. Seeing this, Li Ji was instantly furious. Even if Ling Yun was tyrannical, he couldn't be so domineering. Li Ji. Zilian naturally knew Li Ji's character, and immediately shouted, and then Li Ji became quiet. If that's the case, let's fight. After Zilian finished speaking, there was a hint of fighting intent in his eyes. This is clearly what you know you can't do. The 2 of Zilli and Lizzie are a little clever, but under the crushing of absolute strength, this little cleverness may shrink to the point where they can be ignored. Located in a hidden place of the 2nd team, Guanglu said slightly. Can this team of named disciples last a few minutes in Ling Yun's hands? Qianzhong said a little hotly. Obviously Qianzhong also wanted to fight against Ling Yun, but he never had the chance. It's hard to say, although this named disciple team has only 2 6-star Do D in the early stage, but it is impossible to say that they have no strength. But Ling Yun's strength should not be underestimated. Even if it is me, it will take some time to deal with Ling Yun. Guanglu pondered for a while and said, Boom boom boom, the battle is about to start. First of all, it was Li Ji, whose strength burst out. The strengths of Li Ji and Li Zi have reached the level of 5-star Do Emperor consummation. The latter stage of the 5-star Do Emperor that Xiao Yan had seen before was completely different. Xiao Yan was blinded. I'll go first. Li Ji shouted loudly. The halberd in his hand emitted a dazzling light, and a terrifying wave emanated. The momentum is good, but I don't know if it's just on the surface. Ling Yun faced this terrifying blow from Li Ji, without any panic at all. He said lightly, as if nothing happened. This guy's strength is getting more and more terrifying. Although Li Ji's attack is terrifying, it shouldn't cause much damage to her in the late stage of the 6-star Do Emperor. Zilian said in a deep voice, and then gently moved beside the 2 powerhouses in the early stage of the 6-star Do Emperor. After muttering a few words, The two strong men also nodded. Shabu shabu. Li Ji's attack speed was extremely fast. In a short moment, his footsteps matched the halberd in his hand to come to Ling Yun's side, and then he slammed the halberd out with a forceful finger. Too weak. Ling Yun raised his palm gently, and then easily stopped Li Ji's halberd. Drink. Li Ji naturally knew that his 5-star fighting emperor's perfect strength would be as difficult as reaching the sky against Ling Yun, so he didn't hold much hope for his attack this time. With Li Ji's loud shouts, the halberd that was easily stopped by Ling Yun rushed forward. The strength is too weak, what you do will not help. Ling Yun said softly, and then a terrifying wave was born in an instant. In the late stage of the 6-star Do D, the power of the 6th-rank students. When the power of the 6th grade life just appeared, the space around Ling Yun felt a little trembling, and then Li Ji, who was still unceasing, was suddenly shocked, and was instantly sent flying out. Li Zi. The moment Li Ji was shocked by Ling Yun's terrifying aura, she blurted out. Look at me. Li Zi naturally followed Li Ji's attack, and a terrorist attack that had been prepared in his hand suddenly roared towards Ling Yun. That aura is so strong, it is like a sky-shattering bow. It's interesting. Ling Yun's eyes moved slightly, obviously seeing what the two powerhouses in the early stage of the 6-star Do Emperors seemed to be doing, but out of self-confidence in their own strength, naturally he didn't pay attention. Facing the blow of Li Zi's attack, Ling Yun instantly pulled out his left hand, and a ferocious force of life was directed towards him. Quick! Zi Lian naturally knew that if the three of them wanted to defeat Ling Yun, then Ling Yun's late-stage 6-star Do Emperor's strength would be too watery. Boom boom boom! Li Zi's attack and Ling Yun's vicious force of life energy were instantly fused. Anything that cancelled each other out, just still gave off a lot of fluctuations in this space. Okay, the prisoner's fingers. The next moment, the only two 6-star Do Emperor early-stage powerhouses exclaimed, and then a terrifying light that was bright enough to a few points was born in an instant. The light was just born, and it carried a strong desolation power. This breath was somewhat similar to the Fire Heart Tianyon's sacred flame on Xiaoyan's body, but it was not as pure as Sacred Flame's heat. My good guy, you actually combined the power of the two to deliver such a terrifying blow. Ling Yun immediately narrowed his eyes and gained a new understanding of the only two 6-star fighting emperors in Li Ji's team. Boom boom boom! When Ling Yun saw this, he immediately realized that Kai Zi Sheng changed, and then a splendid vitality of life was continuously linked to born www.novelmtl.com Shabu Shabu. In a few breaths, the combined attack of the two 6-star Do Emperor powerhouses was still defeated by Ling Yun. After all, the powerhouses of the late 6-star Do Emperor were still too reluctant for them. Boom boom boom! The battle is still going on, but it's more a one-sided abuse than an abnormal fight. Forget it, you don't have to struggle anymore. Since you won a wooden token, give it to them. It's already a lot of effort for us to get here. Zi Lian shook her head and said, Xinya 81 Zhang Huiyan Wang Yu, Kai 8, approximately 1 ZS, Koam as the captain. Zi Lian considered everything right. After all, he couldn't ignore his teammates for his own selfishness. But captain, then we will lose our qualifications to participate in the finals. Seeing this, Li Ji shouted immediately, obviously the first to disagree. You have seen the current situation. If it goes on like this, it's just a meaningless battle. Zi Lian insisted. After all, as the captain, watching his teammates being abused one after another, he would definitely feel uncomfortable. If you want to admit defeat, take out the wooden sign. Ling Yun was too lazy to talk nonsense with these people, so he spoke directly. As soon as the voice fell, a wooden sign slowly appeared in Nazilian's hand. The wooden sign just appeared, and then everyone stopped fighting and looked at Zi Lian. Did this Zillion just admit defeat? This is not his style. Ask for tickets. End of this chapter.